What are some common challenges faced during the VA home loan process? That's a great question. Let's get after it. Hey, VA Nation, Jeff Newton here with National VA Loans, powered by Stride Bank. And today we're going to cover something that we get, we get this question quite a little bit, but it's, what are some common challenges that are faced during the VA home loan process? And of course, with us, we've done, I can't even think about how many VA home loans we've done. So we've kind of seen them all, but I wanted to narrow this down just a little bit to make it a little easier and more understandable for all of our veterans out there. So begin and kind of narrow it down to what we see most often. So the first one I'm going to start with is credit. Uh, Now, number one, I will say this is credit is something that is can be an anomaly. I mean, it's hard to understand. I mean, you think I pay my bills on time, everything's great, I shouldn't have a problem with my credit score, and yet sometimes we see credit scores well below where a borrower should be or where our veteran should be, and or what we perceive where our veteran should be. So, and by that, we need to understand what affects credit. So number one, obviously paying everything on time, that affects your credit. How often you, or how if you're late on over 30 days and things like that, that will affect your credit negatively. Paying your accounts on time continuously affects your credit. But one thing that a lot of people don't think about is the how much you owe on revolving accounts versus what your credit limit is. So let's just make it real simple. Let's say you've got a credit card that has a credit limit of $1,000, but you owe $999 on this. Or even worse, if you are a little over the limit on this. We've seen this where it can affect your credit score of 20, 30 points. And again, guys, this is generalities. There's nothing specific here. I would, if I had the credit bureau and the way they work everything figured out, I could probably figure out the tax code too, but I don't. So it's we can just look and see what we see commonly affect credit scores. So if a good rule of thumb is to have 30% is 30% or below our usage. So again, credit limit is 1,000. You want to have your credit balance of $300 or less. That's going to put you in the best light. Of course, continually paying on time is always the number one focus here. But you want to have that balance below 30%. So that's just one thing that a lot of people don't think of whenever whenever you're thinking about credit. One of the things that we look at whenever we see that is, and maybe we see a credit score that's a little bit low, there's 4 or 5 accounts that are close to that limit, then we look at, okay, well, hey, we need to pay these down a little bit. We may get an increase of score of 30, 40, 50 points, which in the mortgage world can make a big difference. Now, it doesn't affect VA loans quite as much, but it is very, very important. Now, on the adverse side of that, what you can also do is, let's say you're paying everything on time. Everything's not a problem. You've consistently paid on time. What you can do at that point is call your creditors. You can call your Wells Fargo account or your Capital One or whoever it may be, and see if they will increase your credit line. So if you're at $1,000 credit line, you owe 600. Maybe they'll increase it to 1,500 or $2,000. Obviously, it works the same way. The higher the credit line or the credit limit, then lower usage, and you're utilizing 30% or less. So that's a one way to do it. And again, if you're paying everything on time, that's a great way to look at it and maybe take advantage of getting your credit scores up just a little bit, just on that factor of it. Now, keep in mind, credit doesn't only affect your mortgage, it also affects your homeowner's insurance. It really affects about everything in your life that you touch, whether it be homeowner's insurance, car insurance, hell, even life insurance to a certain effect, which makes no sense to me. I mean, as long as you pay the bill, whatever. But it's just something to think about and keep in mind whenever you are thinking about credit. Of course, if you have questions on the credit aspect of it, give us a call, 855-956-4040. Let me just throw that number up there. So I'm going to keep it on there, guys, just so in case you have questions about any of this kind of stuff, you can ask. Feel free to give us a call. Any of our VA specialists, we're all well-versed when it comes to this kind of stuff. So let us know if you have any questions. Next is an employment and debt to income ratio. So those are some of the challenges that you may face is really not so much employment, but the debt to income ratio. And we're going to touch on employment first. Number one, you want to be continuously employed. If you are employed and you're deriving your income from a base job, you want to make sure you have continuous employment. There are different guidelines and different ways to work through this. Whether you're a W-2 employee, a 1099, you self-employed in certain cases. So we'll have to go through all that. And everyone's situation is a little bit different. Debt to income, though, is one of those that we need to look at. Now, that's during the pre-qualification portion of every phone call. We're going to talk about your budget and where you feel comfortable budget wise. Obviously, debt to income ratio does play a role in that, because you might feel comfortable on a budget of a $3,000 a month payment, but the debt to income ratio is now at 65%. So things are a little bit different there, and we might need to back that down a little bit, or look at some other alternatives in order to pay off some installment loans or something along those lines to reduce that debt to income ratio. And what we always try to do at National VA Loans and Stride Bank is we try to make sure that, or we try to help you with the information so you can get into a house without any money out of your pocket. Obviously, it's a zero down loan, but there are closing costs and things like that. And we're going to talk about that in the next section here when it comes to cash to close. Cash to close is another one of those challenge that you might face during the process of a VA home loan, or any home loan for that matter, is how much do I have to bring to closing? On a purchase, again, I'm going to say it, and I've shot it from the rafters as much as I can, but there is zero down. So it's 100% financing. But that does not alleviate you from the cash to close aspect of it because of closing costs. On a purchase, you are going to pay 1 year's worth of lender or worth of homeowner's insurance premium up front. So if your premium is $1,500, right there, that's $1,500 you're going to come to close with. Now, they do that because you're paying upfront on your insurance, and then you're going to escrow for it every year. And then the mortgage from then on out will pay that for you. So you're not going to come out of pocket with that again. It's just going to be considered part of your monthly mortgage payment. Other things to consider is appraisal costs. Appraisals, I remember appraisals used to be $300 and now they're $600, or even more in some areas. And of course it ranges based on area and things like that. But that's a cost to consider. Credit. This is a really big one. I remember credit when God, I sound like the old guy saying, "Get off my lawn, kid." But I remember credit when I started doing this in 2002. Credit reports, we could get a joint credit report with both borrowers and all three bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. We could get those for about $19. Now they're running up close to $159. Now, as a veteran, what you need to remember is that you are capped at $100. So even if it costs us $300 for a credit report, we have a cap for $100 for all veterans, which is awesome. I think that's one of the great things about the VA loan. And then, of course, you have title costs and things along those lines. So closing costs, depending on the area you're buying in and where you're at, could run you between $7,000-$10,000, which typically will come out of your pocket. But if you give us a call, 855-956-4040, we'll help you navigate that a little bit to where possibly you can get it figured into the purchase price and you utilize what we call seller concessions. All right, next would be appraisal. This is something that we don't see a major problem with this, but it is a challenge that can be with the VA loan. Now, I know that all you veterans out there, you've probably talked to real estate agents and things like that when you're looking at buying a home, and they're like, "Oh, you're doing VA," and it makes Okay, the fact of the matter is the VA appraisers, they are out there looking out for you, the veteran. They want to make sure your house is in good condition when you buy it. They want to make sure there is no chipping or peeling paint. They want to make sure carpet isn't ripped up all over the place. They want to make sure that it's a livable condition. But most importantly, they want to make sure for safety. A lot of things that we see and hear negatively about the appraisal, well, there's not a hand railing on there. I can't believe I got to do that. Look, it's safety for our veterans, and I appreciate the VA appraisers that are out there that do a really, really good job when it comes to this. They're trying to make sure that you're getting into a home that's ready to go. You guys can move in and not have any of those concerns and any of those worries. So right there's our 4 common challenges that we see. Now, of course, there are many others. And the beauty of it is you want to work with someone that is experienced, a VA specialist and a company that's experienced like National VA and Stride Bank, because we can see those things coming from a mile away. We know what's going to happen. We know what's coming our way. I'm not saying we have a crystal ball, and if we did, it might be a little bit foggy. But the fact of the matter is we've gone through all those experiences and we've done them. So we know kind of what's happening and where we can look for those roadblocks and possible speed bumps ahead. Hopefully there's never a roadblock, and if there is, we'll blow right through it. But the fact of the matter is you want to work with someone that does have experience in doing these kind of things, because if you don't, you could be left at the end of the day holding the bag and lose out on earnest money and all sorts. And not only that, but just to your home. And so it could be a financial and a not really physical, but a mental, roadblock or challenge that if you're not working with the right company and the right people, you might experience that all on your own and then not get exactly what you want. So, with that said, give us a call, 855-956-4040. Talk to any of our VA specialists here. Of course, to stay current with all the up-to-date information for VA home loans, check out youtube.com/National VA Loans. Click subscribe in one of these little spots here. Make sure that you get notified anytime new video comes out, new information. You want to make sure you have it in front of you and at your fingertips. And then if you're like me and you just like to get stuff done, check out nationalapplynow.com. Download our simple, secure, easy Stride home mortgage application right there to your phone. You'll be able to submit all your information directly to one of our VA specialists here with National VA Loans and Stride Bank, and they'll be able to reach out to you to go over all the different information, run through this, and make sure that we can avoid some of these challenges that other companies might face and other borrowers might face. We try to smooth the path, I guess is what we say. So, guys, until next time, thank you so much for your service. Thank you for everything you've done for us and for our country. Take care of yourselves, and God bless.